Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 0 of the Black Vegan Travels podcast. This episode is really just going to be us getting to know each other. I'm going to be sharing my experiences so far in veganism and travel and what I do on my YouTube and what I'm going to be, sharing with you guys, what we're going to be doing together. So, if you don't know, my name is Marista Stubbs. I'm originally from Ohio, but I live in California now, and I've been vegan for about a little over 2 years, almost 2.5 years now, and it wasn't easy at start. I used to tell people that just water and meditation because I didn't know what I was doing. Yeah, I didn't know what I was doing. And it was a lot of frozen food. I always tell people I've been going vegan my whole life because when I was younger, I stopped eating pork because my dad doesn't eat pork. And then I stopped eating fish because he's allergic to shellfish. I decided to cut out red meat when I was an adult just because I didn't think it was good for me. It was heavy and I felt like it was doing more harm than good in my body. So I just made that decision on my own. And eventually I got to the point where I had birds growing up and I would think to myself, well, here you are cuddling your little bird, petting her, feeding her, and loving her. Or I didn't have one at the time, but I was thinking back on it. I'm like, how could I have raised these animals and claim to have loved them and then I'm eating their cousin? Like it didn't make sense to me. I started to not separate, which living creatures were okay to eat and which ones weren't. And I went vegetarian for about a week before meeting a voice actor that I'm a really big fan of named Greg Sipes, who's in like Teen Titans and stuff like that. He's also vegan. And that's where I really started focusing and like really learning about veganism. I knew about veganism, but I'm a baker. And so I'm like, how can I bake without eggs and milk and all this other stuff? I never liked milk anyway. I've been on plant-based milk for a long time because I just didn't like it. Yeah, that was my biggest thing is like, oh man, how am I gonna be able to bake and do all this stuff without eggs? And after meeting Greg Sipes and just learning more about veganism, I decided to take the plunge and go vegan. And here we are today. That was July of 2018 and I've been doing it. I lost like 40 pounds after I went vegan and my skin cleared up and I just I felt better, I felt better physically and mentally. My energy was up. It was just the right move. So I wanted to share that with people, that not only is this a great alternative for the environment and our animal friends, but it's a great alternative for you. 9 times out of 10, people end up feeling better after they go vegan because they're cutting out a lot of junk that's not supposed to be in their body. Red meat and stuff like that is hard to process. And then dairy is just trash for you. You're not a cow or a goat. You shouldn't be eating the lactations of one, especially when they're designed for the baby version of that animal to help them grow. That's why a lot of people gain weight and their bodies get weird when they eat dairy because, it's not for us. I also partake in veganism outside of what I eat. Being vegan extends beyond that as far as... Sorry, I was being hassled by a cat and I had to see what they wanted. Being vegan extends beyond what you eat. It's also the things that you buy. So buying clothes without animal products in them like wool or silk, and buying little things like soaps and toothpastes and paint and food dye, making sure that doesn't have any animal products in it because there's a lot of animal products just hidden in so many things that we use that we don't even know about. And it's weird, gross animal stuff too, like, the bones or the fat. It's just strange to me. And it's been proven that these things can be made without animal products because there are vegan makeup companies, there are vegan laundry detergents and face washes and things like that. So in this day and age, at least for me, going vegan wasn't very hard because we're at the point where there are so many alternatives and ways to transition that it just wasn't difficult. I guess the only thing I'd have to complain about is because veganism isn't common and it's not what's popular, it's more expensive because it's harder to come by. The more that it's normalized, the more prices will become what we're used to, and everything will be more available and just wallet friendly. So, onto the travels part of Black Vegan Travels. I love to travel. I love to travel. When I first really traveled on my own, I was 20. I went to Florida to do the Disney College Program, and oh my gosh, even though it was just another state, it opened my eyes to how different things were as compared to where I'm from. So I loved it. I didn't go back to Ohio after I moved to Florida. I was like, I'm going to stay here and I'm going to work for Disney and I'm going to find myself. And I found myself in California a year later. Yeah, like a year and a half later, because I always wanted to live out there. And I realized when I traveled and I was packing my bags and, coming off of the plane and stuff like that, I loved that feeling of being able to travel. And then I had all these stories that I could tell my family and friends, and people were like living vicariously through me and asking me for tips. And just travel became a passion of mine. I always wanted to move around and see the world, but actually doing it made that a reality for me. If you hear thumping in the background, it's that cat that I was just talking about. So I've been to England. I went there in maybe 2017, something like that, for a Harry Potter event. And oh my gosh, magical moment. So beautiful. One of my favorite countries. And then I've been to Japan twice, both Osaka and Tokyo. And now once COVID is over, once COVID's not a thing anymore, I am working towards living in Japan. Not sure for how long, but I love the culture and I love the food and I love the environment. And there's not a lot of Black people over in Japan. Japan is a very homogenous country. I want to learn about a new culture while also exposing people to my culture and, helping others be encouraged to travel and see the world, because I know some people who, not necessarily that they don't want to travel, which I do know some people who don't want to travel, but who are scared to, or they don't see the point, or they aren't sure how. It makes them nervous. They wouldn't even know where to begin. And that's really the reason I started doing this, is because I want to encourage people to be more adventurous in and out of their homes. The adventurous part in your home is going to be the different foods that I try and recipes that I share with you. And the outside of the home is going to be my adventures abroad. And while I'm in the States, I'm going to be blogging and vlogging my experiences. My YouTube channel is going to go less tutorial and more lifestyle, and then this podcast is going to be like supplementary, where I talk about ways to be, how it is being vegan in another country, and I guess tips on if you're having a hard time, this is what you can do, or if you want to know why we use a certain thing in a recipe, or we do certain things, you have questions about travel and cooking, I'm here to help you figure everything out. I'm here to help make things clear for you and really get you excited about the idea of culinary and physical travel. You don't have to travel in order to get an exotic experience, but I definitely want to encourage you. I want you to be like, oh my gosh, this is so good at home. I wonder what the real thing tastes like. And while I'm out in other countries and out and about in California, I'm going to be highlighting different restaurants and locations that you can go to try vegan food, as well as sharing tips on travel. And I'm also beginning a zero waste lifestyle, so transitioning into zero waste from my regular habits is going to be an interesting process, and I want to share what that's all about. I'm still learning about zero waste and how to be it, but basically, a zero waste lifestyle is cutting plastics and disposables and a lot of trash out of your life that you don't need, and finding ways to lessen your impact on the environment. So, I love my environment. I love the people and the creatures that live in my environment, and I want to help keep them as safe and healthy as possible. And I really think going zero waste is the way to do that. I just want to be helpful. Growing up, that's people would ask me what I want to do. And I would say, oh, I want to be a singer. I want to do this and I want to do that. But really, at the core of what I want to do, I just want to help people. I want to help people live better, more enriched lives in any way that I can. So I feel like doing this podcast and sharing my experience and just everything that I have to offer is one of the best ways that I can help. I can finally answer those questions people have been asking me about how I cook something, or what method is best, or you're planning this trip to Japan. How much did you save? What did you do? Who did you buy your train tickets with? Who did you buy your plane tickets with? Where did you eat? Especially when you're vegan, where did you eat? What do you use to find food around in other countries where you don't know the terrain and you don't speak the language? I'm just here to help with that. If you want to get involved with the Black Vegan Travels community, I would absolutely love that. I have an Instagram and Twitter, Facebook, YouTube accounts, but I also have a Ko-Fi account where I raise money for equipment and post exclusive materials. And I have an OnlyFans where I'm going to be posting like product reviews, and I'm going to be having special podcasts and live streams on my OnlyFans as well. So be sure to join that so that when I'm out on an adventure in Japan or trying a new restaurant, you can see it before I pop out the YouTube video that goes along with it. Really, this is just a little bite-sized nugget of an episode. I will add things and we'll work out how we want to do this together. We'll work out what's best for the future of Black Vegan Travels together. But I just wanted you to get to know me a little bit, hear what I'm about and how I got started on my vegan journeys and my worldwide journeys, and just learn more about me. If you do have any more questions or you have suggestions for podcast episodes you would like to hear, please feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. And once I really get my OnlyFans set up, that's going to be the way that you'll be able to request photos and videos and theming for those things that I just mentioned, and discussions for the podcast. You'll be able to ask me questions and participate in polls and voting that no one else is. That's going to affect just all of my channels. So definitely hop on OnlyFans. And there's going to be some 18 plus content on there. It's not going to be anything too risque, but there is some 18 and up stuff. So just keep your eye out for that. Thank you so much for joining me for this little pilot episode. I will whisper in your ear for the next one. I'm going to try to post these at least once a month. And then once I actually get into Japan, I'm going to post every week is my goal. It's my birthday, and this is my gift to myself, is finally allowing myself to share and be open with people and stop holding myself back from achieving something that I want to do. I really have been wanting to do a podcast and put myself out there. So happy birthday to me. And yeah, I will continue to talk to you guys in the next episode, which should be on December. I think I'll drop my podcasts on the 7th. So come back December 7th for the next installment. I'll be talking about what I've worked on this November as far as vegan food, how the preparations are going for Japan. If I have too many updates, then I'll start doing it every other week so that it's not too much in one episode. I don't want you sitting here for 2 hours listening to me ramble. I want to be concise as possible. Not really sure how to end this, so I'll just say thank you for going on this adventure with me and at least taking some interest in a plant-based lifestyle, whether you're just here to be supportive and maybe you're kind of curious, or you're a new vegan, you're an experienced vegan, whatever level you're at. Thanks for joining me. And for those of you who are here for the travel, trust me, there'll be a lot of tips and suggestions coming up with that as well. So don't feel left out if I do a podcast that's mostly food and vice versa. And I hope you like what you hear. And I hope that you learn from listening to me and that you get something out of it. Just let me know you got something out of it. Let me know that I helped you in some way and I can go to bed with a smile on my face. Until the next episode, eat well and travel often. I'll talk to you later.